cars, crashes, guns, well, kinda, terrible acting, cheesy dialogue.
It's been up 5 minutes, and we already got hundreds of views.
It's time for another Fast and the Furious. Oh, wait, no, we're doing a Need for Speed review? Oh, Need for Speed Heat? Oh, okay, all right. Talk Gaming is back to review Need for Speed Heat, and now it's time. That's right, guys. Electronic Arts is back with another Need for Speed game. This one is also being developed by Ghost Games, who also developed the reboot of Need for Speed in 2015, and then also did the Need for Speed Payback game in 2017, but we're not going to talk about that one. So what is Need for Speed Heat about? What could it possibly be about that hasn't been touched yet? Well, Need for Speed Heat takes place in a fictional city called Palm City, which is kind of a reimagining of Miami, and you play as whatever self-named player you decide to come up with, and you get involved with the underground racing syndicate in the Palm City area, and the city is filled with corruption, not only from the racers tearing up the streets, but also the cops, and the cops are your main protagonists in this one. So they're kind of going back to the whole roots of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, where it was, player versus cops, but the cops are just assholes in this game. Like, they are corrupt to the max. They do references where they're actually talking about how they were killing people and then planting evidence, or killing people making it look like an accident. So these guys are just bastards. So naturally something happens, without spoiling it, and you are tasked with running with this syndicate to try to make things right and try to rid the city of corruption in your car. So it's as good as a Need for Speed story is going to get, guys. You can't really go into these games expecting story, because let me tell you what you're going to get. What you're going to get is you're going to get 50, 60-year-old corporate suits from Electronic Arts and Ghost Games that think they know how this generation of people communicate. Of course, you have your typical, millennial bro fist characters that just, look at this. This is the lineup of characters you get to choose from when you're choosing your main character. And what the this guy's right here is what they think people want. This is what they think gamers look like. Look at this. I'm looking at this roster, and I don't see one normal looking character. Guys, there was one single normal character, and I picked him. It was the dude wearing the Ace Ventura shirt with the hat. And as I continued playing the game and just kept meeting all these awful caricatures of just different races and different ethnicities, I was just like, you know what, man, I'm gonna start forming my own character. I'm gonna start customizing my own guy. I'm gonna make him fit right in with the rest. So I did it, guys. I made my guy look like a 2019 stereotype. Just if you take all the politics of 2019, 2018, and you roll them all in a ball, and you put it in the oven and you bake it like a gingerbread man, and it comes out looking like a human, that's what my guy looked like. I had the combat boots, the weird skirt shorts with the Adidas. Yeah, that's right, guys. Adidas. They have product placement everywhere. And I was a guy. I identified as a male, guys. Anyways, we'll get to the customization in a second, but let's talk about the graphics. So the graphics of this game were actually quite impressive. I was playing on an Xbox One X, which visually it's supposed to be bumped up to 4K, although I did think sometimes things look a little bit grainy in the distance, which usually is not the case. It must be an anti-aliasing issue. But for the most part, they were very crisp. The car detail and the amount of customization you can do to the paint really make things reflect. It is running Frostbite engine, which is the engine used for Battlefield, Battlefront, and pretty much any EA game of late, even Anthem. And so the game looks naturally gorgeous, guys. Basically any game that's running Frostbite engine is going to look really, really good. Now, optimization is a different thing. So the game did run at 30 frames per second, which was kind of disappointing, because in racing games, guys, you've got to have those frames. Those frames really matter. And a racing game running at 30 frames per second nowadays just doesn't do it. It's almost unacceptable at this point. So that was a bit of a letdown, but it was kind of expected. Now, the reflections from the water on the street were really impressive, because apparently it rains every day in Miami / Palm City is what they think. Now, guys, I live in Miami, and there were a lot of discrepancies, I'll say, with what they're imagining of Miami is, but there's no mountains. There isn't a single. The only hill that's nearby here that even qualifies as elevation down here in South Florida is a landfill. Anyways, they did get a lot of things right. They got the overall vibe of Miami, the very glitzy, glamoury, like stuck in the 80s nostalgia feel that Miami has. They also did a really, really nice job recreating South Beach, Miami, and Ocean Drive that street with the Art Deco buildings and everything. That was really nice. That actually looked pretty accurate, except for the beach part. But for the most part, it's a pretty decent reimagining of Miami. It looks gorgeous, guys. It's one of the best racing games, or looking racing games actually out there.
Okay, eyes up. We're heading downtown. Expect trouble.
Sound design wise, so the sound design is pretty good. The cars sound meaty. You can actually customize the sound and the pitch of your car. The soundtrack is pretty decent. I mean, they got your typical like Post Malone, that kind of garbage. They got some reggaeton in there, which is like, you know, about 80% of the music that plays in South Florida. So that was pretty accurate. But it was good. I mean, it had like techno tracks, bumping tracks. It fit pretty well with the vibe of the game, I guess you could say. I would have preferred some 80s tunes if they really want to get the proper Miami vibe. The 80s tunes, the Miami Vice, the Scarface tunes, you know, the good shit. But you can't really race to that. Otherwise, the voice acting was god-awful. It was the typical stereotypes that you expect in the horrible voice acting. It's just so bad.
What did you do? What'd you do to that sweet-ass ride?
So don't come in expecting anything crazy. The cutscenes it's probably one of the better stories that Need for Speed series has had, but it's just one of those things where you're like, nah, that's such bullshit. There's no possible way. It's just the most cringy characters, just stereotypes and tropes. It's bad, guys. It's bad. So the sound design is all right. It gets the job done. It does what it's supposed to do. But let's talk about the gameplay, because these types of racing games are all about the gameplay and the car handling, right? Well, in Need for Speed Heat, the cars handle like an elderly, senile, overweight walrus. Yeah, it took a little getting used to. If you're coming into this game for the realism of the driving, you're gonna leave very disappointed. I came straight from playing Forza Horizon 2 right before I played this game, and it was pretty disappointing and pretty shocking at first. But the cars handle as you would expect in a Need for Speed game. They're very, I guess, weighty. They kind of stick to the ground. The sliding and the drifting feels a little off, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to make do. Now, of course, given that the game is called Need for Speed Heat, you're gonna get heat from the cops. The heat is the cops. It's not Miami Heat. Nope, it's the cops, guys. The cops. So the cops come after you, and they're a bunch of f***ing assholes in this game, guys. Like, they make this game difficult. Now, how Need for Speed Heat works is you get to choose between the day and night cycle. So the original Need for Speed 2015 reboot had a permanent night cycle. There was no daytime racing. It was only at nighttime. Need for Speed Payback in 2017 did away with that, and they had a 24-hour day-night cycle where, you know, the sun would come up and come down as you're racing. But in Need for Speed Heat, they give you two different kind of gameplay styles. Now, this is the most intriguing part of this game. So you can either choose to race during the day or the night. And depending on which one you choose, you actually get different missions for day and night. So, for example, if you race during the day, you're going to accumulate with the money in the game, the currency, which is, it's called bank, guys. So bank. You get bank, which is cool and hip. So you get bank, and you use the bank to upgrade your car, to buy new stuff for your character. You can buy brand new cars, etc., etc. Now, at nighttime, when you race, you don't accumulate money per se, but you accumulate reputation points. Rep, guys, because it's all about rep in these games. It's all about the rep, bro. It's all about getting that street cred. So you get street cred in this game when you race at night and you run from the cops and you escape the cops. And what street cred does is the more you race at night and the more you get away from the cops or smash the cops or complete races at night, you level up essentially. It's your overall level. And as you level up your character skill, you get unlocks to new cars or the ability to unlock new cars as long as you have the bank. So you kind of have to flip back and forth in between racing day and night. And it's actually pretty sweet. At first, I wasn't really enjoying the game. It just felt like another generic type of racing game, and there's hundreds of them nowadays, especially coming from Gran Turismo and Forza Horizon 2, even Test Drive Unlimited back in the day. There were so many different options you could have, and it was open world, and everyone's doing the same thing nowadays. But it was kind of refreshing and kind of cool to see how they flip-flopped the play styles like that, because I've tried, you know, early on in the game I was racing against the cops at night and I was getting my ass kicked. So I realized that I really had to go back to the daytime and I had to complete the races then to get some more bank to upgrade my car so I can actually face the cops, because the cops don't give a in this game. They will stay on you and they will ram you into any ditch they could possibly find. They'll ram you into other cars, ram you into gas stations, whatever, and you have to escape. and it isn't easy. It isn't easy to escape. It's actually pretty difficult. So I don't recommend racing against the cops, at least. I mean, you can do the races at night. You'll generate some heat, but for the most part, it's good to kind of start the game out in racing in daytime and then use that currency to upgrade your current car, because you'll unlock rep points as you go and complete some of the earlier nighttime quests. But buy a new car, upgrade that car before you go into nighttime, because if you get busted, if you get arrested or crashed or wrecked or whatever at night, not only do you lose most 3/4 of those reputation points that you had gained throughout the night, but you also lose almost half of your currency. There was one point where I had around $50,000 currency, and I was saving up to buy a new car. I got wrecked, got busted by the cops, and I went all the way down to like 12,000, and it was like, oh my God. So there are stakes to be had, and that's what's kind of nice about the game. But overall, the gameplay, it devolves after a few hours into just the same old, you know, just racing in circles, racing short syndicates, and just kind of, it's been done before, guys. It's been done on and off. If you're a hardcore fan, you really love the Need for Speed games, I would say you're probably gonna enjoy this. But if you're a hardcore fan, or you've been playing racing games for a long time, guys, I grew up playing Need for Speed. I love Hot Pursuit. It's still my favorite Need for Speed game ever. I've played every one since they've ever been released. But there's just so many other options nowadays. Like Test Drive Unlimited 2 is really hard to beat. In Test Drive Unlimited 2, you can customize your house, your car, your character. You have like a little crib, you know, your little chill pad. You can upgrade. In this one, you just upgrade your character and you upgrade your car, and it just doesn't have the same amount of customization or same amount of options that Test Drive Unlimited had, or even variety in the races. The variety of races in this game are just the same. Go in a couple laps here and there in a different car, then use the currency and the rep that you've attained from racing the same races day and night to buy a new car so you can do the higher level races and the drifting. Now, there is some off-road rally racing similar to the crew that you can do, but I mean, even the crew, I've played the crew 1 and 2 all the way through, and you get more variety in the crew, and it just kind of keeps things fresh. So I don't know, compared to the crew, Test Drive Unlimited 2, even the Burnout series, I think it needs to do just something different to stand out. Like this game's gonna come and go. It's gonna be on sale at Black Friday for maybe $20, $30. So honestly, I would say wait on it. Don't jump on it just yet. Wait for a sale, because it's a decent game. There is a decent game under the hood. It's just not worth $60, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed my review. Thank you for stopping by. If you've picked it up and you're enjoying it or you're not liking it, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if you guys liked it. Please like and share the video. It definitely helps the channel grow. We are growing pretty quickly now. It's awesome. Thanks to you guys. So let's keep this train going. But thank you guys. We'll see you on the next Talk Gaming review.